If you learn these 5 ways to use powder foundation, I guarantee you it is going to change the way you do your makeup and increase your confidence when you're wearing it. And no matter if you have dry skin, oily skin, combination skin, mature skin, acne-prone skin, we're addressing it all. When you think about powder foundation, you may picture some less than desirable results. Cakey finish, looking dry, too much coverage, not enough coverage, or general confusion about how to make it work for you. I've been a professional makeup artist for 10 years, and in the beginning of my career, I never really utilized powder foundation as much as I could because I wasn't aware of all that it could offer. I used a liquid foundation, set it with a translucent powder, and I was on my way. But formulations and technologies have come so far in recent years, making it an absolute game changer in my opinion. So let's start with the first way to wear powder foundation, which is as a foundation. Who would have thought? You want to start by prepping your skin for your skin type. A serum doesn't really affect the wear of your makeup as much because of how deeply it absorbs, so I already applied a great hydrating serum. Now, moisturizer, she can really be the enemy when it comes to ruining our long wear. More often than not, using the wrong moisturizer or using too much of it is the reason your foundation doesn't wear as well or causes the look of your makeup to go south real quick. For someone like me with oily combination skin, you want to use a lighter weight gel type moisturizer and a little bit of it. A thicker, richer cream is going to make us look very oily or even congest our larger pores. And this goes for mature skin and acne prone skin as well, where dry skin needs that richer moisturizer for hydration, but still be wary about using too much. Finding the right moisturizer to go under your makeup takes a little bit of trial and error, but these are good rules of thumb to start out with. Now for foundation, I'm using the Glam Skin Focus High Coverage Powder Foundation. A product like this is what I was referring to when I mentioned how far cosmetics formulas have come in the past decade. Truly mind-blowing, especially for $8.99. So this powder is transfer proof and oil controlling and completely waterproof. I'm not kidding when I say completely waterproof. Literally beads up off the powder. I love this one especially because it gives a beautiful soft focus blurring look to the skin, conceals the pores. It's also high coverage and talc free. So we're gonna take the dual ended puff that this comes with. This one is the sponge side. This one is perfect for applying the product. And then you just take the ribbon, flip her over, and now we have the flock side that this one is perfect for touch-ups throughout the day, blotting, anything you need throughout your wear. So we're gonna start with the sponge side, just dipping in circular motions, getting this on the puff. And this side, we're gonna do the powder laid down completely first. So I like to swipe this on the skin, and then in certain areas, you could even just stipple, build up where you need it. I can even drag this right down into my facial hair. I even have a breakout here, which is lovely. All right, so this is this side of the face done. Oh gosh, this looks incredible. I'm switching to the phone because I want you to see this up close. It literally looks like I have nothing on. But when I tell you my pores, how much it blurs. And now out of the shades I went with, I applied the shade Porcelain, and the next one closest to it is Chantilly. Porcelain has a little bit more of a neutral undertone, where Chantilly is a little bit more of that rosy undertone. So since I have redness in my skin, I didn't want to go with Chantilly where it's really going to kind of bring too much of that pinkiness in. I want to balance it out, and look how much going with something with that neutral undertone just kind of neutralized that redness and brightened everything a lot more. Now I want to go in with a much lighter shade. This is in Linen, just to use this as a concealer to show you the coverage capability. So I'm almost gonna press this on just where I need it, under my eyes, a little bit onto the lid, and look at the brightness. And again, on the phone, look at no creasing, the way you're gonna get creasing with liquid. Now to finish up this side really is gonna be great for people who are oily in combination because you're just going in with powder products. So now I'm gonna go in with my powder bronzer, and I'm just gonna buff on a little bit of our bronzer to warm up the complexion. Just gonna run a little bit of that bronzer through the crease just for a little definition. Now for a little bit of blush, just right above that bronzer. Okay, beautiful. So now on me, sometimes my bronzer and blush isn't as blended out as I want it to be. And if I just keep blending and blending with this, it's gonna disrupt everything underneath, even if I'm wearing liquid. So I don't like to go crazy. I wanna blend this out more, but I'm not going to because it may or may not be another use on the list. So we're gonna let that sit for the moment. Moving on to number 2, using powder foundation on top of creams. This is for my people who love using cream products. Dry skin, combination skin, if you can handle it, mature skin, or just like to use cream products. So I'm using a little bit of my cream bronzer, and we are putting this exactly where we put the powder on this side. And we're doing it before our powder foundation. Underneath the cheekbone, on the forehead, connected to that brow, a little down the sides of the nose, the lid, and maybe even a little under the jaw. Now I'm taking my cream blush. Same brush, because we want her to get married together anyway. And we're just gonna build this up, same place that we did the powder on the other side. All right, we got on our creams, and we look a little crazy. Fear not, powder foundation to the rescue. So we are going to go ahead and do the same thing we did on the other side, but we really wanna make sure to stipple. And see how I'm starting in the areas that our creams predominantly aren't placed first. So we're going under the eye, and I kind of left this area a little bit untouched because now that we have less product on, now I'm gonna press and stipple on top of those products to blur and soften the edges. So same thing on the forehead. I'm gonna start a little bit more in the center, not quite on top of that bronzer yet, and then work my way into the bronzer, stippling on top. All right, it is blended out, and look how literally now we have such an even compared to powder on this side, cream on this side, where all of that now is underneath that powder foundation. The other beautiful thing about this, especially for dry and mature skin, is this is really gonna make your cream products look like they're coming from within the skin rather than just laying right on top. Moving on to use number 3 is using powder foundation instead of concealer. And I don't just mean how we used it over here. We're gonna elaborate even further. So I am gonna add this concealer, well, powder foundation, but I should say we are going to use it as concealer on this side just as we did the other side. We have our under eyes concealed, as though you can't tell me I'm not wearing concealer. But when I'm doing my makeup, I really do like to highlight the center of my forehead, down the bridge of my nose a bit with a lighter concealer just to give that really nice contoured dimension. But to be honest with you, with the texture on my forehead, I just have rougher skin in general, larger pores on my nose, the less liquid on my face, the better. I'm gonna use this lighter linen shade that we used under the eyes, and I'm gonna use this to highlight the areas I would normally highlight with concealer. So I can even put this on a little bit heavier and let it sit. I did run bronzer down the sides of my nose, so I'm just gonna press this on the bridge of my nose. You can even go in with a nice pinch brush and really use this to bake out and let it sit and brighten the bridge of that nose. See, look at that. This is what I do when I'm really like getting beat. And now after I let it sit for a little bit, I'm just taking a brush to swipe this away. And look how much that highlighted the center of my face. And when I tell you this is 1/100th the level of cakey as if I did this with actual liquid concealer. And another reason I love this for mature skin is when I did a lot of Mothers of the Bride, I would do a little bit of a liquid concealer here, blend it out if need be. But a good Wayne Goss tip is if you have mobility in this area and you have lines here, it's gonna settle. So a lot of the time I would take the lighter shade of the foundation and use this, as I did with the puff, just to stamp and brighten and give you a little bit of that lift out here without having to use liquid. Now on to use number 4, using powder foundation to soften your makeup. So I'm actually gonna do a little bit more blush on both sides because honestly, I want this to look a little crazy so you can really see what we're doing here. All right, so I built up the blush on my cheeks and I over contoured my nose so it looked a little harsh. And now I'm taking my foundation shade, not the concealer shade, and I'm just using a nice little fluffy brush. When I learned this when I was doing bridal makeup, it completely changed the game for me because this is what really made my clients look so airbrushed. So see this harshness here that we don't want that blush bleeding in the way it is. I turned the lighting down a scotch because I really want you to see that there. So now we're taking it off, I'm tapping the excess off, and all around the edges of this blush, I'm blending in our powder foundation. And when I tell you this is gonna make all the edges of your product blend into the skin seamlessly because you're giving it that gradient feather from the color of your blush into your foundation color. Same on the side of my nose, just to blend that contour out a little more. I even use this after liquid concealer, if I have liquid concealer on, to further brighten up in here if I'd like. I mean, already look at how much more diffused and soft that side is. All of that blush. I'm gonna do the same thing here, our contour, compared to this harshness. So now I'm gonna do it on this side. I always like to kind of start right in the center here and go along the edges. It even allows me to even out the sides because on this side I could tell it looks a little stronger, the blush, because we did the cream on this side. I really want to match the intensity. So see, I could tone that down where now our blush is exactly as even on both sides. And just the same as softening the makeup, really also think of it as sculpting and airbrushing and finishing things out. So let's say even, where is my brush? Come on, girl. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little more contour here just so I can show you. Let's say we have our contour up to the edge of our brow here, but it's bleeding a little bit lower than we want. Once again, powder foundation, dipping in with the color we used for our foundation, and I'm gonna use this to carve out that contour, blend it down, let it sit for a sec, and then go back in with a nice fluffy brush. This is what we just used to soften the blush. Blend her out. And look how we just got all of that highlight and lift back, and we can blend out the edge of that contour. All right, I threw on a little bit of brows because I felt a little naked. So last but not least, we're moving on to use number 5, using your powder foundation to sharpen up your lip lines. So I'm gonna go in with a red here because I really wanna prove my point. Okay, so we have our lip liner on, and now the concept of tracing the outside of the lips is a technique I learned from watching an interview with Christina Aguilera talking about her makeup artist, because the interviewer complimented how just stunning her red lips looked. And she started laughing and saying, oh my God, my makeup artist is freaking out backstage. And she said it's always because he traces the edges of my lip lines with, I think he might have used a foundation or a concealer. So as time went on as a makeup artist for me, big mistake I always did with my clients, after the fact, I would always go in with their foundation color because I started using concealer. It was too light and it would just be so hard to blend. And even their liquid foundation, I would go in with a very detailed brush, trace the edges, and I was actually doing this on top of the translucent powder, the powder foundation I had already had on their skin. So not only is it not good to do that liquid foundation on top of powder, but then trying to blend it down was always a pain. And that is when I realized the power of using a powder to do this. So on a very flat pinched brush, I'm gonna use the same foundation color shade, and I'm going to trace the edges of my lip line. So not only is this gonna make the lips pop, it actually allows you to clean up mistakes. Look how much sharper and this side has compared to that. Now this is a little harder with my mustache, but you can do the exact same thing on the top. And the last benefit of doing this is that Erin Parsons on here on YouTube, she's a brilliant makeup artist, global makeup artist for Maybelline. She has a foolproof way of not having lips bleed, which is she does her lip liner, sets it with powder, does another layer of lip liner. And a big reason for that is powder prevents that bleeding so much more than liquids will. And having this layer of powder all around the edges of your lip liner is really gonna stop that potentially bleeding lipstick so much more. Imagine this like a moat around the castle that is giving you more protection from your lips bleeding. All right, now we're gonna go in with the lipstick. Look at the definition that this powder gave to the red lips. If that isn't a Christina Aguilera red lip, I don't know what is. There you have it, guys. 5 ways to use powder foundation that are absolutely going to change your makeup routine. When I started embracing powder foundation as a professional makeup artist, it changed my life. Thank you so much to Glam for sponsoring today's video with this amazing $8.99 powder. If you guys want to check it out, there is a link down in the description box. I really hope this helped you. I want to show you one more iPhone video of me close to the window in harsh sunlight, just so you can see how absolutely beautiful my complexion looks, how barely there skin-like and blurred this is. It truly is remarkable. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out my brand new podcast, Beautiful and Bothered, the newest episode is right here. Binge away. Wherever you are, I hope you are happy, safe, and healthy. I will see you on the next video. Bye, guys.